To everyone who keeps returning to this space, to those of you who leave your thoughts in the comments, who share what moves through you after these readings, who send their energy into this channel quietly and consistently, I see you and I am grateful for you. This space exists because of the trust you bring to it. If you are new here, something guided you to this video at this particular moment, and I do not think that was accidental. Settle in. What is about to come through in this reading is not light, but it is necessary. And to those who have been here from the beginning, you know by now that when the energy is heavy, it usually means something important is shifting. So let us begin. Something is about to break open, not fall apart, break open. There is a difference, and I need you to hold that distinction from the very first breath of this reading. Because what is moving through your life right now, what is building just beneath the surface of everything that looks ordinary and stable, it has the quality of something that has been sealed for too long, something that has been kept in the dark. And things that are kept in the dark for too long have a way of finding their own light eventually, whether you are ready or not. So if you have been sensing something lately, some low vibration of unease you could not quite name, some feeling that a conversation you have been avoiding is getting closer, some awareness that a truth you have been dancing around is about to step fully into the room. You were not imagining it. The first image that locks into focus for me is striking. I see a tower, tall, ancient, built with the kind of stone that was meant to stand forever. And for a long time it did. It stood through everything, through seasons, through storms, through the passage of years that changed everything around it, while the tower itself remained exactly as it always was, solid, unmoving, permanent. And then from the very top of this tower, something happens. A force, sudden, electric, impossible to predict or outrun. And in the space of a single moment, what had been sealed inside that structure begins to spill outward. What had been hidden within those thick walls begins to be visible to anyone standing close enough to see. This is not destruction, Virgo. This is revelation. And the energy of this image has been circling your life for longer than you realize. Something has been held inside a structure that was never meant to contain it permanently. A truth, a secret, a reality that certain people in your circle have been working very hard to keep from reaching you. That structure is cracking. I want to speak to what this secret might actually be. Not in specifics, because the specifics are yours and they are different for each of you watching, but in quality, in texture, in the feeling it carries. What I sense in this energy is not a small revelation. It is not a minor piece of information that will shift things slightly. What is coming is something that, once you know it, changes the way you understand a significant chapter of your own story. It rewrites context. It reframes events you thought you already understood. It explains things that never quite made sense, connections that seemed off, moments that felt wrong but that you could not prove were wrong. And for some of you, part of you already knows, not consciously, not in a way you could articulate clearly to another person, but somewhere in the body, somewhere in that very precise, Virgo instinct that notices everything, files everything, cross references everything without even trying. Somewhere in there, you have already been holding a version of this truth. You were just waiting for the confirmation. Now, I need to say something about the word dangerous because that word is in this energy, and I will not soften it unnecessarily. But I want you to understand what kind of danger we are actually talking about here. The danger in this reading is not a danger to you. It is a danger to a version of reality that someone else has been carefully constructing and maintaining. A version of events, a version of themselves, a version of a relationship or a situation that required your unawareness to survive. The secret is dangerous not because it will harm you. It is dangerous because it will harm the carefully arranged image that someone has been presenting to you. And there is a very specific kind of person who keeps dangerous secrets. I see them in this reading. I see someone who moves carefully, who chooses their words with a particular kind of precision, not the honest precision that you practice, Virgo, but the calculated precision of someone who is always aware of what they are revealing and what they are not. Someone who has a different face for different rooms. Someone who smiled at you while holding something behind their back. That smile is about to become very difficult to maintain. Let me describe another image that is coming through very clearly. I see a figure moving through darkness, not lost in it, moving through it deliberately, as if they know this terrain, as if they have navigated it before. And in one hand, this figure carries something they are keeping close to their body, pressed against them, shielded from any light that might accidentally fall on it. They are not running. They are careful, methodical, but behind this figure, something is changing. The darkness that protected them is beginning to thin, not because anyone tore it away, but because darkness has a natural limit. Because secrets have a weight that accumulates over time, and at a certain point, that weight becomes impossible to carry without showing, without the body betraying something, without a slip, a contradiction, an absence that was one absence too many. Virgo, this figure is not you. You are the one they have been hiding things from. And the light that is beginning to thin the darkness around them, that light is the truth making its way to you. Does something in this reading already feel familiar to you? Is there a situation in your life, a relationship, a dynamic at work, something in your family or in your close circle where you have felt this quality of hidden information, where something never quite added up no matter how many times you tried to make it make sense? I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me if this is landing. Tell me if you have been sitting with a suspicion you could not confirm. This reading is specific, and I want to know how specifically it is speaking to you. Now, I want to speak to what this revelation is going to ask of you, because receiving shocking news, even news that brings clarity, even news that finally explains what you could not understand, is not simple. It does not land neutrally. And I want to prepare you not to brace against it, but to receive it with the full power of who you are, rather than from a place of destabilization. The first thing it is going to ask of you is stillness. When this comes through, and it will come through, the temptation is going to be to react immediately, to confront, to demand answers, to mobilize everything in you that wants justice and resolution right now in this moment before another second passes. And I understand that impulse completely. It comes from a real place. It comes from the part of you that has been patient for too long already. But the image I see for you in the immediate aftermath of this revelation is not movement. It is the eye of a storm, perfectly calm, perfectly clear, surrounded by motion and noise and disruption, but in yourself, still grounded. Seeing everything with a clarity you have never had access to before, precisely because you now have the full picture. That stillness is your power. I see something else in this reading that I need to name carefully. There is a second layer to what is coming because the secret itself is one thing, but what comes with it is something more complex. There are people in your life who knew, not everyone, maybe not even many, but someone knew or suspected and chose silence. And that choice, that decision to protect the structure of things over protecting you, is going to be part of what you have to process. And this is where the real inner work begins. Not in the anger, although the anger is valid and deserves its full space. Not in the grief, although there will be grief, and it is real, and it has a right to move through you at its own pace. The real inner work begins in the question that follows all of that. What do I do with what I now know about who was in my corner and who was not? This is not a question to answer quickly. This is a question to sit with honestly over time and let the answer arrive from the deepest and most grounded part of you rather than from the wound. The next image that comes through has a completely different quality from everything I have described so far. I see water, but not the still mirror like water from before. This is moving water, a river, wide and certain in its direction, that does not hesitate and does not look for permission to keep flowing. And there are things on the surface of this water, objects, debris, things that were once held with great care and are now being carried away, not violently, with the calm inevitability of a current that simply does what currents do. And standing at the edge of this river, watching what moves past, is someone who is not chasing what is leaving. This is you, Virgo, after the news lands, after the secret surfaces, after the structures that were built on false foundations begin to give way. You are standing at the edge of your own life, watching certain things move away from you, and you are not running after them. Because somewhere in you, in the clearest part of your Virgo knowing, you understand that what is being carried away by this current was never truly solid. It only looked solid, and what remains after the water has taken what it will take is real. I want to speak now about the gift hidden inside this because, yes, there is a gift. Not an easy one, not one you would have chosen if you had been given a menu of possible gifts, but a real one, genuine and lasting and worth everything it costs to receive it. The gift is your own discernment returned to you fully. Virgo, you have one of the most precise and penetrating minds of any sign. You see details others miss. You sense inconsistencies others walk past without noticing. But when you care deeply about something or someone, that discernment can get clouded. Your desire for things to be okay can, in those moments, override what your sharpest instincts are telling you. What this revelation does is realign you. It brings your outer reality back into agreement with what your inner knowing was already registering. And that realignment, that return to seeing clearly and trusting what you see is going to change how you move through the world from this point forward, who you let close, what you accept as explanation, what you require before you extend your trust. You are not going to be someone who can be kept in the dark as easily again. And that is not cynicism, that is wisdom arriving in a form that was the only form it could take. Let me speak to those of you for whom this reading is touching something very personal right now. If what I have been describing is not abstract for you, if there is a specific face that came to mind when I talked about someone who moves carefully through darkness, if there is a specific situation that has been sitting in your chest with exactly the weight I described, if part of you is almost relieved that this reading is naming something you have been carrying alone for longer than felt fair, I want you to take a breath. You are going to be okay. Not immediately, not without difficulty, not without the full complexity of emotions that come with discovering that something you believed in was not what it appeared to be. But you are going to be okay. In fact, you are going to be more than okay. You are going to arrive on the other side of this with a clarity and a confidence in your own perception that is going to serve you for the rest of your life. The shocking news is not the end of your story. It is the end of a chapter that was holding you in place. And the chapter that follows, it begins on ground that is finally, fully, unquestionably real. There is a final image I want to leave you with. I see a key, old, ornate, the kind of key that belongs to something important. And this key has been sitting in a lock inside a door that was always there, but that you could never quite open because something was blocking it from the other side. And now, with what is about to come through, that blockage is gone. The mechanism is clear. And the key, your key, the one that was always yours, turns. The door opens. And on the other side of it is not chaos, not ruin, not the wreckage you might fear. On the other side of this door is a version of your life where you are no longer navigating based on incomplete information, where the decisions you make come from full knowledge rather than carefully managed partial truths, where the people around you have been chosen by you, fully informed, with open eyes. That is what is waiting. And it is worth walking through. Virgo, I want to close by saying this directly to you. Your sensitivity is not your weakness in this. Your ability to feel things deeply, to care, to invest yourself genuinely in people and situations, that is not what made you vulnerable to this. Do not walk away from this reading deciding to shut those parts of yourself down. The world needs the way you love and the way you show up. What shifts is not your openness. What shifts is your clarity about who deserves it. You are walking into a period of your life where the truth is returning to you in pieces, and then all at once, let it come. Stay grounded enough to receive it without being swept away by it. Trust the part of you that already knew, and trust even more the version of you that stands on the other side of this, clearer and steadier and more powerfully yourself than you have ever been. That version is not far away. It is one revelation away. If any part of this reading touched something real in you, I want you to tell me in the comments. If you have been sitting with something you could not name until now, if this gave language to something that was wordless before, if you felt something shift while you were listening, share it. This space holds what you bring to it, and your words, your presence here, your willingness to look honestly at your own life, that is what makes these readings matter. Take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next one.